is Dustin with Tech AMD. Today we're coming at you with an iPad 7th generation home button. I tore apart the screen and believe it or not, this thing was all damaged. I was like, wow, how did I do that? I haven't done that in a long time. So I got this new microscope camera. It's really cool. I'll show you guys here a little bit of what I attempted. I thought you could cut these cables and clean them off, but overall, it's much more difficult than it seems. So that's me like scratching off the black and cutting it off, and I guess those are the traces, but overall, no clue what I'm doing with that. So I looked up another video, and come to find out, you can actually cut this off here, this plastic, and desolder it. So we are going to do that. I am going to move my microscope up and out of the way a little bit here. Obviously I don't want it too close, but doesn't really give me great options here. So what I'm going to do here is tape this down so it stays still and you guys can see a good view. Alright, I got two separate views of this, so one is like really close up and then one's slightly close up. Go ahead and peel off the tape. You're going to need obviously some micro soldering skills, but this doesn't look more difficult than, let's say, your average like iPad charge port repair. So if you've done one of those, then you should be able to do this. Have I ever done this before? Nope. I have never done it before, but I did watch a video because I was like, okay, how do I connect this to a new port? And come to find out, you can desolder this. So I was going about it the wrong way, of course. All right, cut that open. Should be the very edge right there. Yep, we're on the very edge. Perfect. I'm gonna turn on our soldering iron. I just always turn mine on maximum. I don't use a super fine tip, none of that stuff. I'm not here to show you how to micro solder. You should be able to know how to micro solder. This is just, you know, starting point for experts. The whole idea behind this obviously is to preserve your Touch ID, and we're gonna find out today if an aftermarket 5th, 6th gen home button will solder onto a 7th, because if it doesn't, then I'll be pausing the video and ordering a 7th gen home button to solder onto. Now sometimes they don't come with solder points, so you gotta find the right aftermarket home button. So that's another problem, that's a potential problem. So we're gonna go ahead and tin our tip. Little, get nice and shiny. Just cleaning our tip basically. Alright, then we're gonna get some tweezers, and since I'm better handed with my tweezers, I like to use my soldering iron with my left hand. But since the cord's too short, I need more desk space. Seriously, I'm working on more desk. Hopefully this doesn't move too much while I'm doing this. You can also use a heat gun too to desolder this, but I don't want to melt it. My one and only, I've never done this before. Try to bleep out those dings and dongs from my phone. Thank you. Turn on the damn computer. Only have to do one. Alright, so let's go ahead and just carefully pull this apart. It's glued on. Just getting underneath that cable and lifting up. I'm slowly just holding the other cable while pulling. Actually, let's do it this way. Let's pull it separately. There we go. And your cable should be loose like this, and then you got your original here. Okay. So I got a couple cables here. They're all 5th gen, 6th gen. And this looks like the closest one. It has little soldering dots, but maybe these ones do, I don't know. But this one looks like the best one. The other question is, does this cable fit inside the 7th gen? That's the big one, because I don't know if it does or not. Probably doesn't, and we'll have to probably buy the cable for it. Doesn't hurt to try. Let's see how this does on the iPad. Oh, cool. So it looks like it fits in there and the clasp goes down. I can't compare it with the other one because my cleaning lady comes every night and it was stuck on the broken glass. So I told her if she sees any broken glass, throw it away. Oops. That's okay though, this is a fun experiment. This is to find out if this works or not. And if it does, you know, hey, this is great news. If it doesn't, whatever, just move on. And we'll order one. So if you're watching this video, this will be a break where we're gonna go part 2. If this works, then there won't be a part 2. If it doesn't work, I don't know how to explain it. Just cut that all out, what I just said. All right, so now we got the cable lined up on our microscope here. I'll put a piece of tape down so it stays stable. At least I hope. I don't know. Not feeling very confident in this one. cutting out some braid. See if I can just clean this right up. Let's see if I can get this focused more. Make sure the tip is nice and clean, and then we're going to put some braid over this, just like that. I'm going to clean up the new solder that's on this already. I don't see where it breaks in the cable at all. So I was suspicious from this one, from point A. Looks like we cleaned up all the solder. I'm gonna go ahead and remove this tape out of the way and see what I can see underneath. There's some adhesive here, or some blue tape. I'm going to remove that. See if there's the exact same amount of connections. Yeah, it looks like there's the same amount of connections. Okay, so what I'm going to do, since I can't find the cut in this cable, or where the cable splits, I'm just going to slice it up. All these lines look like it's all going to here. It's interesting, this might not work. Okay, so if you look carefully at this cable here that I desoldered a little bit, there's traces going right there. If I cut that cable, it's not going to work. But I have another cable. This one says 2-piece soldered, so obviously that means something. I don't know. And this one right here does have a separator. So what you're looking for is that the contacts go all the way down through this piece here and then up and around. So that's what we're looking for. So we're going to desolder this piece, hopefully. This little camera is kind of difficult to work with. It's super zoomed in, and I'm doing my best for you guys, so I hope you guys are enjoying this. Don't look at my dirty thumbnails. Ugh. Jeez. Okay. The light is not as good that far up. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and separate the shield here. Save that little plastic shield. And then we need solder paste. Make sure your iron's still on. Mine is. Clean your tip. I'm going to desolder this piece. Looks like one of my little piece of pad fell off on this, unfortunately. Yeah, that cable tore a little bit. Just pulling on it just a tiny bit. Maybe I do recommend hot air. Fortunately for me, the pads below are fine, and this is the bad part. So this cable is extremely delicate. To the extreme, guys. All right, let's get the other side taped down. Now I definitely recommend tape now. For what we're doing. I'm going to turn down the heat a little bit on my iron. I think, usually I have no problem with it, but I think it might be warping my cable. Just gonna get a tiny bit of lead solder on here on the tip. Just a tiny bit. We're going to tin these up, which means make them shinier. You want to make sure that these are not connecting at all. They don't look like it. They look good to me. All right. Put some more flex on our new cable, or original cable. So we're going to grab a small piece of tape and then we're going to put a piece of tape at the end, or halfway I would say, maybe with the cable. And we're going to look very closely and check your alignment. It's really hard to tell with my other camera. Definitely can't tell on that camera. How's that looking? Let's move it over slightly. I'm gonna link this microscope for you guys because it is making my life so much easier right now. All right, so the connections look basically lined up, but to ensure, I'm going to use something flat on the other side of my tweezers here. Oops. And just watch that tape. You don't want to melt your tape. All right. So we still have tape holding down the cable, so we don't need to use these other pieces anymore, it looks like. But we still need to continue soldering the rest. So we're just going to press down. Yeah, this cable is wrinkled. It's definitely not connected anywhere. So for not being connected, even though I feel like it's probably my heat is not being high enough on my soldering iron, or I need a better tip or something. Heat up a little bit more, if not, I'll find a different tip. I'm going to just put a tad more of lead on here and a little bit more flux. That looks better. The little connector there is not very happy. Well, I'll take a look at it under careful observation. Let's use some alcohol and clean this up. Come on in. All right, time to analyze this thing under the microscope. Looks good to me. Only one way to tell if it works or not. If it doesn't work, I'm really not going to put much more stress on this cable. And it's all right if it doesn't work. This is testing, and here it is. If it does work, hey, we can use a 5th gen as well. But if it doesn't work, well, I'll order the parts, and unfortunately the customer's gonna have to wait because I was not responsible and I did not keep these parts on stock. So we'll find out. You're not gonna learn how to assemble the screen or tear apart. If you need to do that, I have instructional video. Oh, you know, one thing I forgot to do is put this little piece of tape over it that came with the new one. You definitely want to cover your soldering work so you don't short out anything. Okay. gonna leave the home button just out because there's no point in having it in at the moment. Obviously, goal number one is just to get a working home button for this customer. And if her kid doesn't care about Touch ID, then I'll let her on her way. Goal number two is to fix it perfectly and Touch ID still works. Tries to read my fingerprint, all that. If that works, that's even better. But as of right now, I have no home button, and I'm hoping this really works, because that'll really suck if it doesn't. Of course it's dead.